Okay, welcome to the Dutchmans Wood Shack on a Sunday or Monday Memorial Labor Day. What I'm doing here today is I'm working on a table and I need to cut some of this stuff down to size. Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is open flooring. It's got the bevel on the, see the bevels right here? So, two things I have to do. One is take the bevel out of it, which brings it down a little bit. So what I want is this. Smooth like this, right? So that's what I'm working on. The deal is, so that's 3/4 inch wood, it brings it down to 5/8 if you do it right. Okay, so working on this top, and so what I want to do is get this wood down, and then I got to glue 2 layers of wood to itself. So thickness here, it says I got to have 1 5/8 inch thick. All right, so it might be a little bit less. I'm not worried about that. Once I get it done, what I'll do is I'll run it through the thickness blender again, get all the glue off and stuff, and then after that, what I'm going to do is I have to concave. That'll be interesting. I'll show you that. What I'm doing now is this is always a real bugger. I got to take this finish off. So one thing this thing has a problem doing is taking the finish off. It gums up the teeth. The teeth are real small. The blade. Okay, so I have my vacuum. Oh, there she goes. I have my vacuum. So it seems to be getting clogged up. This thing here, this machine needs to be taken apart. It's getting to be a pain. But see, the teeth here are very narrow. So what happens is these usually get clogged up real thin. They're about I think a 16th of an inch thick. So yeah, so unfortunately, I got a whole set here, and I don't know if I can sharpen this or not. I don't know anybody that sharpens blades like that. It's like almost buy a new one, but they're not cheap. So now, what will happen is this thing overheats when I'm doing this. I don't know if you got anybody out there who's got a thickness blender. You know what I'm talking about. I got my vacuum running. Unfortunately, it's not sucking up everything I need, and I don't know why. So anyway, I'm going to go shoot this off for a second. See, now what I'm getting at with this is I'm going to get it at this thickness, which is 5/8. Alright, so that's what I want to go down to. This is still too thick right here. Flip around, see, make sure it's still too thick. That's this is just a hair. About a 1/62" thicker. So that's what I use. If you want everything to be the same level, either one of your pockets or here. Oh. Now, see, that's the thing, it's getting hot and it's starting to hang up a little bit. Okay, now this, I've got to have this internal work, and I don't know what the problem is. But what I'm doing is, I'm trying to get it down to this size, okay? So I'm actually basically taking it from 3/4 inch down to 5/8. Now the problem is I have with this is that it's when you have finished edge on one side, what happens is I always go around this thing, I turn it upside down, and that's where all those grooves are, and it's wood. It goes through pretty smooth. Unfortunately, when I first started, it was popping the circuit breaker, the internal circuit breaker on this, so which I think this thing is shot and I'll have to replace it. But the idea here is to get the finish off of this. And usually, when you start doing it, the biggest problem it has is the two rollers underneath won't grab because it's a shiny surface. Well, it slides off the material. Okay, so what it does is the rollers just slide because they're not gripping. Sometimes I have to forcefully push it through just enough, right? You make sure your fingers aren't in there, by the way. Just enough to make sure it goes through, and you're not binding it up. So I just thought of this the other day, and I forgot that I should do this, but each piece that I have that I go through there has got the shiny part to it. I should take my belt sander to it, all the way across to all of them on the top, and make it gritty, because it's not going to make a difference. You don't have to worry about it being scratched up too much, because I'm taking that off anyway. So now when I'm doing this, the other thing is too, I have to take the tongue and groove off of this. That's another thing. 2 inches. That's what I want this at, is 2 inches. So each piece you glue together has to be precise. And sometimes, if you've got an oddball shape, now most of the time I don't run this through the thick splitter. The jig, I can run it like this. But if you have a you want to make sure that these joints are going to be flat. So if you have a joiner, you want to make sure that you run this through the joiner both ways. Now you can look down it, that's the other thing, and see if there's any cups in it. That will make a difference when you go to glue it together too. The problem with this thing though has been, it binds up so much sometimes, and you can only use it, you can do like a 1/16 of an inch, less than a 1/16 of an inch. About half of that at a time, which takes a little bit more time to do. My innards in here, my inside here, there's a vacuum system, is getting clogged up. So sometimes you have to pull this off and clean it, and then put it back on. For some reason, it likes, there's a box in here, it likes that box, and it just gets clogged up and all get out. So, hi Wade. Hey Arjun, how you doing? Nice to see you guys. Hey, the Netherlands. Peace. Another Dutchman there. Awesome, guys. Hope everything's going in Holland. I'm on LinkedIn too. There's a couple of guys on LinkedIn that are from Holland. They're really good carvers. Tico Top is the guy's name. Tico is so exquisite with his work. It's amazing. Go to LinkedIn, you'll see me. All right. Now, what I want, my idea is, okay, I'm working on this top. So, what I need to do is get the thickness for this is 10.5, well, it's 10 7/8 inches, but it's probably going to be about 10.5 or 10.25 because I'm not going that extra, okay? But what I need to do is I've got to go through and I got to get this all even flat. So now I'm doing 2 layers at the same size. So whatever this is, 29.5 inches. I have to make 2 layers of 29 and a half inches of this. So the two have to lay flat as well as this way. Now, will I putting like biscuits in there or something? No, because it's a small table. So I won't, it's not carrying a load. If it was carrying the load, I'd probably be doing biscuits or dowels. For those of you who don't know me, I'm on, oh yeah, by the way, Arjun, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but Arjun, okay, a couple of things. Anybody that doesn't know me, I'm on YouTube, now I'm on Instagram, and on Facebook at the Dutchmans Carpenter. Mostly the time I'm on YouTube doing my videos or doing my live shows. So, but if you need to get a hold of me, if you guys want to ever do a live session together with me, side by side, let me know. I'll be glad to set you up and you can join me and we can have a discussion on it. Now, the whole idea is that. Now, if you subscribe to me, it'll let you know when I come on. All right, my plan is every Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I did it today because it just seemed like a good day and everybody's relaxed today, and I'm going to show you what I was doing. My thickness planer isn't the best. It's actually a good thickness planer, but it's kind of wore out. I've had this thing for 15 years. I think I need to do some major work on it, but I'll do that later. So now, my idea here is to get this down where I want it. I'm going to do a couple more runs of boards, and then my next thing is unplug this, put this aside, and then do the table saw, all right? So if you bear with me a little bit longer, that'd be great. See what I mean? idea here is I gotta cut these to size. And I think they're probably gonna be pretty good. I'll check. because it bows. So now what I want to do with this is I'm going to take and raise this up. So there's a couple of things you got to know about this thing. There's 4 screws here. When you raise it up, there might be a lot of dust on this, but when you go to clean it, you want to make sure you get up in there, clean it all off, and you get some dustless or greaseless garage door openers and stuff. That's what I put on. I use that for these things. The other thing is, every once in a while when you run one of these through there, take pencil marks and put it on there, and run a couple of them through, preferably a junk piece of 2x6 or 2x8. Run it through there and see if you're getting any variance on one side or the other. Sometimes one side might drop a little bit, and there are adjustments on it. They're all like that. They all have this thing that your manual should tell you. My problem is this switch here. I think this circuit breaker is going bad. Again, one thing I'll recommend that I didn't do on this, which I forgot to, when you go put something through it that's like this, the finish on it, take the finish off with a belt sander or something, rough it up, because your wheels inside here won't catch it. And then you got a problem where you're making your wheels kind of gummy. The other thing is, unplug it, all right? Make sure that, well, I better do it right now. When you're full with it, in here, those wheels, you can take and rough them up with some really gritty sandpaper. Just rough them up. If you take this motor head apart, this air cleaner part, there's a switch in there. You can push down on it, it's a safety switch. And then you can turn it by hand. Again, make sure that you have this unplugged. Don't be doing that. Your manuals in each one of the different, this is a crash. Your manuals in each piece of equipment is different. So always wear these because it's loud. So I'm just gonna take and clean this. Use the little bit of this up here. See now, what I like about mine is I can move. You want to clean up in here a little bit? See how much dust can be down here? It shouldn't be doing that. Unfortunately, I think some of the machine is clogged up. It just needs some maintenance. Okay, so now we can move this thing out of the way. Maybe. Now, one thing I do is I try to keep everything clean because I don't want people tripping over stuff, going wide. It's a safety hazard in the shop. Always make sure you maintain stuff. Even if you have to take something, stop a little bit, take a break. Since I'm down in the basement, the last thing I want is a boom. I got a lot of stuff in there, so. Okay, now. Here's another thing. Now this thing is not that loud, but I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be cutting up here. As you can see, I have a lot of stuff here I'm cutting up, and they all got to be this size. So what I'm working on now. Okay, so take this stack. Take it from the 45 position and go to 0. Take this, well, first lower this too, by the way. I always let it sit just a hair above, like about 1/8 of an inch. Safety reasons. I don't have the what do you call it on here? The guard. So okay, so now what I want to do is I want to cut this part off first. So that's about 1/4 inch. And usually what I do is I go about there. Now you might have to play with it a little bit. I gotta get my glasses here. Say, what are you guys saying here? Hey Lawrence, what's going on? Larry? Oh yeah. So okay, so that you guys want to know again, this is 5/8 inch thick, and then I've already cut it to a certain size. I forget, I think it's 30 inches or something. But you want 5/8 inch thickness. The way to do that now, and then this should be 2 inches. All right. I'll show you what I do. Now the idea is here, I got to take the tongue off first. And I'm going to do it to all of them at once, so it's all the same, and then flip it around and take another 1/4 inch off of that. Okay, that's only half of the equation. Okay, so now, usually, now I can do this by eyesight, but what I'll do is I'll start it up a little bit here and see where it ends up. Hang on a second. Yeah. There you go. Watch it, you might poke yourself in the eye. Hey, Mary Pat, how you doing? Hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Kind of a boring weekend. All right, so now I got all my wood cut the way I want it for the top. I still don't know if I have enough, but now the one issue I had, and I still have it kind of, but I'm just going to go for it. That wood is two-toned. So this one's darker than these, and this one's lighter, but it's the wood flooring. Okay, so what happened was I got this wood flooring from a friend of mine. It was it. It works at Lowe's. And he gave me about $200, $300 worth of stuff for nothing. Or for 20 bucks, I should say. But it was rejects because it was mismatched. It was the stain didn't in the box. One whole box was all goofy. The wood that they had in it, the grain was different and whatnot. But that's okay. That's okay because The wood, I like indifference instead of just straight, flat, boring wood. I like this stuff. Instead of work. Now, when you're putting something like this together, the big key is you want to make sure that everything is like I can still feel this one's higher than these two. Um, the good thing is the width of the table is it's not as wide as that thing, the thickness planer. I could run this through the thickness planer and plane it down. So I'm not going to go cut this again. I'm just going to cut them all the size. Now, when I'm looking for things that are cut in size, I'm looking for instance, all these ends have dados on them and tenons. So I'll be cutting these off. So I'll be looking for imperfections, knots, and stuff that's going to show up in kind of an oddball way that's going to help you. They can screw you up in the long run. So that's the one thing I'm going to do. So now the only thing I can tell you is now this wood here I have to cut because that's going to be part of the plan too. Plan two. So now I ran out of the red, so I had to sacrifice. I had a nice piece of oak that I got from somebody. Um, I scavenged. It's a good thing I scavenged. I'd be up the creek without a paddle. Woo! Okay, I'm gonna cut this. I just remembered I gotta cut this down real quick. Now, am I keeping this? Yes, this will be for top part of my birdhouses. Yep, never get rid of it. Never do. Okay, so I'll tell you a lesson here real quick. Okay, when I'm running the table saw, I can see my hands, right? Okay, the one thing people say, well, you should have a guard on it. They're correct when I'm doing that big, a little bit bigger than what I was. But here's the thing: never lose track of where your hands are in conjunction with that blade. I'm always watching that. The only thing in it, and I'm pushing it through safe enough. If it grabs the board and pulls through, I'm loose enough. It probably won't take my hand. Okay, it's when you put pressure on it, it'll grab it. Okay. The other thing is, on that table saw, I've been struck twice with this a couple of times. Where if you're standing right behind a piece of wood, you're doing it that you're pushing through there. If it got locked in there or bound, right back at you. Now I've got a big enough tummy that is pretty thick. But when I was cutting a piece of stump off a Christmas tree, bad idea, bad idea. It got hung up between the fence and the blade, and it used my stomach as a backstop. So I had a big welt on there for about a month and a half. The other thing is, it also at one time grabbed one of my fingers and just scaved the top of it where it took the fingernail off. Every tool in this shop could do a nice job on you. So be respectful and make sure that they're maintained properly and that you focus. Don't lose focus it because what you get in biggest thing I have sometimes will come in here, the light switch will go off. And I'm aware of that. When I first started doing this in here with the light switch going off, somebody's trying to tell me either the door they want to call or something because this I'm down in the basement. The one thing I got distracted, if I'm running that and that goes off and on, that's dangerous. Okay, so I've got to figure out a way to put a light in here where I can have a red light where it goes off and on like you would be in a recording studio. So it's a good shop. I mean, I wish it had a little bit different layout in a way, but it works for me right now. So, um, and then I have to worry about all this. So now the big thing is I have to gotta measure my pieces lengthwise to what I gotta cut them to. So, and that's another thing. You can make a jig for that. I don't have a real good jig for that. I just make a block on my my miter saw and kind of do it like a on it. So to those people watching me, thank you. Questions or comments, and if you want to be on live with me, you have to let me know that I can figure out how to attribute. Okay, so now I'm gonna move you guys. I'm gonna move you guys to a different spot. Oh, I do have another bowl I'm gonna make. This is a piece of oak, live oak. I've had that. I've been saving it for a while. I know it's already done splitting, so we're good. Okay, so now this one's another one that'll bite you in the butt. All right, so what I do in this shop is got everything on wheels, but the big thing is whenever I saw here, I want to shoot it where my lathe is because it's kind of like a dust bucket. So I try to minimize the dust wherever it's at. When I was turning something the other day on the lathe, it went back here on this. And it's still a little bit dusty. I try to keep it, but it doesn't take much to get a film on here. So, and that's the other thing. If you're working on wood that's kind of hazardous to your health, so to speak, wear a mask. Okay, so I like to smell that oak though. Oh. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to lock this in place. Now, this what's good about this. I can compound miter this way, or I can compound miter this way. But what I like to do is lock this in the back position. All right. You want to make sure that your backstop is straight and where you want it. I at one time got a piece of wood in here and it locked up and it bent the one of them. I was able to straighten it back out again, but okay. So now comes the fun part. I wish I had the assistant in here. I'd be going faster. Okay, so now I've got to figure out what size I want lengthwise. All right. So when I'm working on this, I'm going, okay, what's the measurement? It's supposed to be lengthwise. Well, it says 29 and a half here. So I don't know if I've got one 29 and a half yet. I have to check it, make sure. Yeah. So I got 129 and a half. Now here's the thing. I like to use these for templates. And a lot of time, if I'm ever making furniture, like my leg, I got one leg that I'm using as a template, and I make 4 separate ones. I did that with a baseball bat too, same thing. So you want some kind of a template. So this is what I use as a template right here. What I'll do, make sure that all the ends are cut. Now, I made sure when I was going through that these boards were not warped. If there are, they cut them. And when you go to glue it, you can see if it's going to give you any problem or not. That's what those joiners are for. Unfortunately, the joiners only go out so far, I think 6 inches or something. So sometimes you have to use a thickness planer. But hopefully that won't be the case here. Don't you just love it? Oh, I love it. Okay, so I gotta make sure I got that. All right, so I got one. Because this is wider than my base. That's the only downfall about this. I've got one out in the garage that extends. This one doesn't, but I pull it over. Now, you see how I left that down? Don't pull up on it. Okay, so you cut it, and if the blade's still running, don't go up on it. What it does is, if it gets, it'll go like that. It'll kick back that piece of wood in your face. Ah. Now, I already see a problem here. See how thick that is compared to this? So, again, when you lay out your patterns before you glue them, now this is what the thickness is supposed to be, but I'm not worried about that because that's my template. So, then I don't ever get rid of these things because you can use these for checkerboard stuff. Or maybe I can make a, those would make, that size is good. If you get enough of them together, you could do like an dark red, dark blue, whatever, walnut mixed with that and make it a pen. Okay, so this one's got tongue and groove on it. So, I'm going to take it. Now, normally I readjust these to fine tune them later. Once I get them cut to like a rough size, I'll mess with them. I'll mess with them, man. Again, always watch yourself when you're doing this. Be aware where that blade is. It will bite you, baby. Well, the other thing is to make sure I have a metal can here too for rags and a fire extinguisher. So you know, always think safety. Always think safety. I also got one in the garage too, by the way. I got same metal can and a fire extinguisher in the garage. Garage. You know, I laugh. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I go, "Whose idea was it to call a garage sale? A garage sale? Think about it. You're not selling your garage, are you? I mean, really? Come on." It's like outlet. What outlet? There's no outlet. You mean I can't plug my computer in? Well, how about falling rocks? Okay, so this one I argue with people on it. Rocks do not fall. You just don't fall like somebody's dropping them. Okay, they tumble. You ever see a landslide? Tell me if rocks don't tumble. I'm just saying. I get in an argument with the wife on this all the time. They tumble. No, I mean, no, they don't. They fall. Or they tumble, I mean. See, I'm already starting. I'm losing it. I was thinking, you know that song Hotel California? I was thinking of changing the lyrics to like Hotel Dusty. Dark, in a dark woodworking shop with dust in my hair. I bet you I can figure it out. I'll play with it. Probably get tagged for messing with it though. Copyright infringement! Copyright infringement! Well, I gotta have a theme song. Everybody else has got a theme song like me, but I gotta have a theme song. That's why I was coming up with that. One day, I was laying in bed as that sawdust glitter was falling through my eyes, dreaming, you know. Oh, I could make a nice sized paddle out of those. Remember in high school, or just in school, grade school too. My VP, vice principal, had a paddle that was about that wide and about that long. No, I fortunately got out of that, but I come close a couple of times. A couple of guys I know, so we were devising ideas. About what to do. So one of the guys came up with this idea. His mom has these National Geographic books. So he always had one somewhere. All right. So one day, oh, this one's already cut. Yeah. So one day, one of the guys got busted for something, and I forgot what it was, but he put one of those books in his back pocket. Didn't feel a thing, he said. Didn't feel a thing. And the thing is, you would think that they would notice that? Nah. I guess not. At least that's what he said, anyway. I laugh at those scenarios because, you know, it's like, oh my God. Back in the day, me and a couple other guys almost got talked into, we almost, to save our butts, I forget what we were doing. Anyway, we got sent to the VP's office. And we were supposed to stay after school and paint walls. There was a backstop or something, but a handball court we were supposed to paint. Well, at the end of the day, we were saved. Like, didn't have to. So somebody saved our butt. I don't know. Maybe you were just being nice to us or something. I don't know. Okay, so I want to shout out to my regulars out here: Lawrence, Wade, Mary Pat, Greg, Arj, my Dutchman friend. Thank you for stopping by. I really do. I appreciate it. When I get to doing my, oh, see, this is what I was talking about. See this end right here? It's got a knot. It's kind of curly right here. So I'm going to have to take more than off of this and the other than I planned on. It should be, I think, the last one. Let's see, the last one. Okay, I think that works. Okay, that works for that. So now, I have to make 2 layers of this stuff. Okay, so now what I'm going to do when I go for safety wise, first thing I do is pull the plug. Alright, so that's the first thing I do. Second thing I do is to lock it. Now, I store it at an oddball angle because they got all these other things in here, so what I'll do here is I'm going to bring this back in here like this. And voila. Okay, let me tell you something. The last time when I first started this project down here, these walls and everything, was a real booger to try and move things around when I didn't have wheels on it. So, oh, I lost you guys. Oh, I'm back. Anyway, okay, so now what I got to do is I got to clean up my mess. But I just remembered I got 2 more pieces I got to cut. See, this is where I get messed up sometimes. I get ahead of myself. So now I gotta go over this again. So now I'm gonna cut this off. Usually it's a quarter. Not like that. Okay. Hopefully you don't find stuff. Hope I don't find that. Okay, we're good there. So the last thing I do here, is I unplug that and I run this there. And then like that. See? Just like that. So I'm going to let everybody go. I want to again thank you, Dutchmans Wood Shack, for watching. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that bowl. But keep an eye open, an ear open. And again, if you're not making sawdust, you're not going to be creative. Later, Gators. Okay.